Channel. Now we are going to start peritoneum. So actually what is peritoneum? So for every organ we have an outer covering. For example, this is an organ. So especially now we are going to discuss about peritoneum. Means all our abdominal viscera, all our abdominal contents are covered by means of a slimy layer like structure which is called as peritoneum. So you can see, for example, here this is a peritoneum over the viscera, like in abdominal viscera, like you have liver, intestine, right? So all those structures, spleen, all the structures are covered by means of a layer outside that is called as peritoneum. But this peritoneum layer is in turn divided into two layers, that is like which is lining, which is intact with the organ, that is called as visceral peritoneum, and which is outside, that is called as parietal peritoneum. So here P represents parietal peritoneum and V is for visceral peritoneum, which is intact with the organ, and the space between this visceral and parietal peritoneum, this is called as parietal cavity, peritoneal cavity. So actually these layers are formed by means of some special names we have. So actually the peritoneum is a largest serous membrane of the abdominal cavity, and it is composed of an outer layer and inner layer. As I said, the outer layer, if you see this parietal peritoneum, it is mainly fibrous tissue. So it's fibrous and it gives a strength to the membrane. And if you see the inner layer, that is a visceral layer, which is made up of mesothelial cells. So inner layer is made up of mesothelial cells and the outer layer is made up of fibrous cells. Okay, so this mesothelial cells, the inner layer, visceral layer mesothelial cells only produce serous fluid, and that serous fluid mainly lubricates the surface, and in turn it will use for the free movements of different viscera. So for example, you can see the diagram which is given in the textbook over here. So this is a parietal peritoneum and this is a visceral peritoneum. The space you can see here, this is a peritoneal cavity, and this is mesentery. So what is mesentery? This we'll discuss now. So actually this parietal peritoneum, if you see first about the parietal peritoneum, it lines the inner surface of abdomen and also pelvic walls, and also it's covering the lower surface of diaphragm. It is loosely attached to walls by means of extraperitoneal connective tissue. So actually this outer wall, that is, for example, this is body wall. So if you see between the body wall and between this outer layer, that is the parietal peritoneum, there is extraperitoneal connective tissue. This tissue is extraperitoneal connective tissue, and it can be easily stripped away. Next, embryologically, if you see this parietal peritoneum, it is made up of somatopleuric layer. It is made up of somatopleuric layer of lateral plate mesoderm. Okay, so this is its embryological development. And coming to blood supply and nerve supply, actually the blood supply and nerve supply of parietal peritoneum is related to that type of overlying body wall. For example, if the blood supply, for example, if you take liver, so what is the blood supply to the liver? The same will be for even the parietal peritoneum. Okay, and one more thing, important point of parietal peritoneum is it is mainly pain sensitive. So that is important. It is pain sensitive. So pain can be felt for the parietal peritoneum because of the somatic innervation. Okay, so because of somatic innervation, it is pain sensitive. Now coming to the visceral peritoneum. The visceral peritoneum, it is like in very nice contact with the organ which is present around it, and embryologically the visceral peritoneum is originating from splanchnopubic layer of lateral plate mesoderm. And next, the blood supply and nerve supply same like the underlying viscera. It is having autonomic innervation. So parietal layer is having somatic innervation, whereas visceral layer is having autonomic innervation. And this visceral peritoneum also evokes pain when the viscera is stretched or ischemic or distended. So when the viscera is stretching or anything, then only the visceral peritoneum will have the pain. Remember, it is autonomic innervation, whereas the parietal layer is by somatic innervation. So actually, this is like a simple form of peritoneum which is present in the case of like early age of a child. But when we turn into adult, our GI structures they twist and turn to form like cecum, appendix, colon, so many parts. So even the peritoneum which is present around it, it also should turn and adjust to it. So in the process of this adjusting and turning, actually it forms many folds according to the organ. So this fold, that is called as folds of peritoneum. And you have one retroperitoneal word which refers to the fold of peritoneum which is present only on posterior side of the organ. For example, if you take kidney, for the kidney the peritoneum is present only on the posterior side. So that's why so actually this is called as retroperitoneal. It is called retroperitoneal because it is present on one side, only one side, that too in the case of kidney it is present on posterior side. So that's why the kidney is called retroperitoneal organ. So according to the peritoneum, as the person is evolving from the childhood to adulthood, then because of the changes of the organs, rotation of gut, because of all this, even the peritoneum will fold according to that organ, and like this the changes are going on in a adult person. Actually, these folds of peritoneum name are also changing according to the organ. For example, if you take the small intestine, in the small intestine, this fold of peritoneum is called as mesentery. So mesentery is a fold of peritoneum which is seen in small intestine. So like this, the name will be changing for all other organs. For example, if you take colon, in the colon, the fold of peritoneum is called as mesocolon. So according to the name, according to the organ, the name of the fold of peritoneum is changing. And actually, the large peritoneal folds are attached to stomach and they are called as omentum. So omentum, omentum is the fold of peritoneum which is seen in stomach. So sometimes if you see this peritoneum, it's only not single layer. Sometimes you can see the double layer of peritoneum. If you see the double layer of peritoneum, especially it is seen in abdomen region, those are called as ligaments. So if you see double layer of peritoneum, these are called as ligaments. This ligament example, you can take the gastrosplenic ligament as example. In the name itself, you can understand it's a ligament from the GI system to the spleen. Okay. So which is connecting the stomach to the spleen, and other folds are named according to the shape also. Like for example, triangular ligament is present in liver. So like this. So these are ligaments are nothing but the double layer of the peritoneum is forming as ligament. So next, coming to peritoneal cavity, as we already discussed by means of the small diagram, the space between the outer parietal layer and inner visceral layer is called peritoneal cavity, right? So the fluid here is the serous fluid that is secreted by means of mesothelial cells. If you remember, the mesothelial cells are present in visceral layer of the peritoneal cavity, right? Sometimes there may be some abnormal fluid filling in the peritoneal cavity. Like if the fluid is filling abnormal fluid, then it is called ascites. And if the blood is filling, then it is called hemoperitoneum. And if the air is filling in this cavity, that is called pneumoperitoneum. So according to the content which is filling abnormally, we have different names for it. So now coming to peritoneal cavity division. So the peritoneal cavity is divided into two types, like larger part and smaller part. So the larger part is called as greater sac and the smaller part is called as lesser sac. So actually, what is this greater and lesser sac? As we already discussed, like as a person is evolving from childhood to adulthood, because of rotation of different organs and because of change of different organs, the peritoneum around it also changes. So in the process of this changing, sometimes actually what happens is there is for example, here liver, you have liver. So around liver you have peritoneum, right? So this is parietal peritoneum, sorry, this is visceral peritoneum because it's in near contact to the organ. This will be the parietal peritoneum, and this is for example the cavity, peritoneal cavity. So actually in the forming of like this, if for example if this liver is changing to opposite direction or like it is undergoing rotation process, then there forms a gap like this, a bulge forms, but inside this bulge there is no organ, and this is in turn divided into two parts. So one is smaller, then it is called lesser sac, one is greater, this is smaller. Let me mention it here, this is a smaller sac and this whole remaining which is around the liver, that is the whole peritoneal cavity, is called as greater sac. So like this, the two sacs are formed, especially whenever the organ is evolving or in adult position. So because of this, there is a formation of smaller sac and greater sac. So the smaller and greater sac are mainly the peritoneal division. So for example, if you take the smaller part is situated behind the stomach and the lesser omentum, and the liver is known as lesser sac. So what they mean to say is the peritoneal cavity is divided into two parts. The main larger part is greater sac and the smaller part which is behind the stomach. Just now what we had discussed, the smaller sac, actually this lies behind the stomach, and the lesser omentum and the liver. Actually what is lesser omentum, then you will understand at that time. Actually in the smaller sac it is present between the stomach and liver. Even the lesser omentum is present between the stomach and liver, that is called as lesser sac. The two sacs communicate each other by means of epiploic foramen. So actually this smaller sac and greater sac, in between you have a foramen between them, that is called as epiploic foramen. This epiploic foramen also have another name, like you have foramen of Winslow, or also called as, simply called as opening into lesser sac. That's it. So remember that the smaller sac and greater sac are having a communication in between, that is the epiploic foramen, also called foramen of Winslow. So there are also small pockets or recesses of peritoneal cavity may be separated from main cavity by small folds of peritoneum. So sometimes like this, as the smaller sac has formed, so like this on some other side there is some lesser recess formed, that is called as recess, peritoneal recess or fossa. These are of clinical importance because the internal hernia may take place in this recess. So sometimes the internal hernia may take place in this recess. So this recess are also formed by means of this evolution of organs, rotation of organs. So the peritoneum also changes around it, and it may also form some smaller recess. Now coming to the sex difference of this peritoneum. So in the male, the peritoneum is a closed sac and it is lined by mesothelium or flattened epithelium. But in the female, it is having many different types. So in male, it is simple type. The peritoneum in the male, if you see, it is just lined by the flattened mesothelium, flattened layer or mesothelium. But in female it is different. In female, according to the place, it is changing. So in the female, if you see the peritoneal cavity, it communicates with the exterior by means of uterine tubes, and the peritoneum which is covering the ovaries. So peritoneum which is covering ovaries is cubical epithelium, and the peritoneum which is covering the fimbriae, you know the fimbriae around the ovaries, the finger-like projections, right? So this is lined by columnar epithelium. So in female, it is changing according to the place, but in the male, it is just a flattened epithelium or like mesothelium, also called mesothelium. Okay, now coming to the function. So finally, last part of this video is about the functions of peritoneum. So why, now we understood about peritoneum, so why it is useful, what it does in our body. So functions. Peritoneum is mainly useful for movement of viscera. So first function is movement of viscera. So actually mobility of organs, different organs are provided by means of peritoneum. It is a chief function of peritoneum by providing a slippery surface for free movements of different abdominal viscera. Like for example, you can take peristaltic movements in stomach, intestine, and periodic changes in capacity of viscera with their filling, evacuation. Efficiency of intestine is increased because of mobility, and intestine are suspended by large folds of peritoneum. So all this process is because of movement. So this is his first function, and the next function is of course protection of viscera. So it's like an outer layer, so it is protecting the viscera. So this is another function. Like it has various phagocytic cells which guard against infection, and lymphocytes are also present like in the fluid of peritoneum, which provide both cellular and humoral immunological defense mechanism. And you know, in the greater omentum, it has like more power to move towards the site of infection and seal that infection, preventing the spread. So greater omentum also plays a nice role to prevent infections, and for this reason greater omentum is also called policeman of abdomen. So this is important. Greater omentum is called policeman of abdomen. Okay, next coming to the absorption and dialysis. So other function is absorption and dialysis. Even peritoneum have a function of absorption. And what is doing in dialysis, let us check out. So mesothelium acts as a semi-permeable membrane across fluids, and small molecules of various solutes can pass. So mesothelium, as you know, it's present in visceral peritoneum, right? So this is useful for exchange of fluids and small molecules. So peritoneum can absorb different fluids from the peritoneal cavity, and even water crystalloids are absorbed directly into blood cavities, and colloids also pass into lymphatics by means of phagocytes. And greater absorptive power of upper abdomen or subphrenic area is mainly due to large surface area and because of respiratory movements absorption. So absorption in dialysis is possible by means of peritoneum. So next power is, if you see, therapeutically considerable volumes of fluid can be administered by peritoneal route. Conversely, metabolites like urea can be removed from body by artificially circulating fluid through peritoneal cavity. This procedure is called peritoneal dialysis. So what is peritoneal dialysis? We can remove urea from the peritoneal fluid, and also we can sometimes administer some fluids by means of peritoneal route. Hence we said it is also useful in dialysis. Next, coming to healing power. Healing power, what is healing power? And also adhesions. So this is another function, that is the mesothelial cells. And if you see in almost all the functions of peritoneum, you see the word mesothelium, that is the layer of visceral peritoneum. So it is having major role in the function of peritoneum. So healing power also, here again comes mesothelium cell of peritoneum. It transform into fibroblast and promote healing of wound. So it is transforming into fibroblast, and it is helpful for wound healing, and also form abnormal adhesion causing obstruction in hollow organs. So it also forms some abnormal adhesion cause obstruction in hollow organs. So this is not good thing, it is a negative thing, forming obstruction. Now lastly we have storage of fat. So peritoneum also stores fat. So peritoneal folds are capable of storing large amount of fat, particularly in obese persons. So in obese persons, the fat is also accumulated in peritoneum, especially in the peritoneal folds. So this is all about peritoneum. In the next video, we'll start about peritoneal folds.